the deep root cause, or where patriarchy came into existence, was India was primarily an agrarian economy.
Oh, yeah?
So it's always been an agrarian economy, and the roles that were divided amongst the men and women was the women were going to take care of the house. The men would go do, farming, do hunting, or what have you. And predominantly the belief was that since men were doing the more riskier, the more...
putting themselves on the line.
Yeah, so the women were meant to take care of the men in case there is something that goes wrong. A man can get hurt. Because the man was doing a lot of physical work, the woman would come and help the guy out,
they're
basically take care
pampering,
of the person.
Like, I don't know what the right word is, but if you've been toiling all day on the farm, you got blisters in your hand, and you baked from the sun so that you could feed your family, and the woman has been, again, not a history buff on these things, but I imagine that women had a far more physically easier position than the men, and therefore the woman was still of high energy when the men got home and he was sapped.
Absolutely. And that's taking no credit away from the women in the sense
not
that
at all.
It's not easy to run a house, man. I've been living here alone for 6 months. I know it's not easy, man. Washing those clothes, making the food, and then
and that's just the things that we can think of today. I mean, back in the day, we don't even know what kind of. But again, I mean, not to go off too far off course here, but I'm woman. I have more respect for women than anything in the world, because I mean, I essentially was, for half of my life, I was raised in a household where it was just my mother looking after me and 2 sisters, and women feel a lot more than men do. That's why men are able to detach from their kids, and they can go out and work all day, and they can do their mission. And women feel hurt when they miss key parts of their kids' lives. Women feel a lot more than men do, on a general basis, and this is just biological differences between us. So when something goes, when you have a woman, like, again, my mother is an example, who had to put so much of herself into raising us kids, working a full-time job, coming home, cooking and cleaning and washing, and I mean, it takes a lot, but the amount of emotional stress on a woman, I think, is more than men feel pretty much ever.
Absolutely. And that's what happened, because historically the men were doing the more physical things, and the women were handling more of the emotional aspects, as well as the well-being of the man, because he was supporting the hunting and the farming, or what have you. It's ingrained in the mindset of people that is the role of a woman. And unfortunately, and it's a scientific fact that women evolve faster than men.
Oh, I didn't know that, really.
Yeah.
Okay, they mature faster too, so I guess it makes sense.
So what's happened is the women today have evolved to the stage where they can support the family. The men, unfortunately, now it's a sad situation for men, because they still got to support the family, and at the same time they need to evolve so that they can accommodate the women, basically transforming her role. Instead of him taking the proper load of the family, the women today are capable of helping you out with that.
Yeah.
But that transformation in terms of your emotional being, the men have been slow.
Yeah.
And that's where most of the issues come up. It's just the mental aspect of men being challenged on women actually encroaching to the role that they've been doing it historically.
This is a huge issue that we face in the world. I don't know where I stand on the whole situation. I am of the opinion that a parent should be at home raising children, and I think we're in the world today where a woman can do just as well in the workplace as a man can, because it's not physical anymore, it's up here. So a woman can do a job as well as any man, and vice versa. So I'm still of the opinion that you need to have one parent at home. I think that we've gotten to the point as a society where it's malleable. You can have a woman or a man be at home raising the kid, but you got to keep them off of TV, which can just brainwash your kid and teach them morals that you don't want them to have or anything. But I hear what you're saying, and I think it's an incredibly difficult problem. That's a problem that I think is faced in most of the world, although I do think that in terms of the Western world, they've gotten to a point now where this is still kind of an issue, but there's a lot more quality. But in India in particular, I mean, it's still really...
In India, it's a major concern now because we're just moving into that transformation. There's increasing women participation in the workforce. And though on one hand, it's a good side. What's happening is the children that were being groomed, nurtured, given the right morals by the mother that was actually taking care of them, right now have nobody.
Yeah.
And the main points or the main sources of them developing morality and them developing standards is
replaced by like TV.
From the media content they consume. Yeah. And it's a very risky place to be in.
Yeah, 100% agree.
Yeah. And I am not saying
So, sorry, just to interrupt you there. So, do you believe that these, just to get back onto the original question, you're talking about these men who this rape epidemic in India, are these men the ones who had a lack of moral formation when they were growing up because their mothers were working, or do you think that this is still just the patriarchy? Like, he probably saw his mother being treated like a second grade citizen and therefore believes women, and because I think that the major issues where this is happening, I can imagine where the major issues where these things are happening in India is you have the cultural hubs, which will be Mumbai and Delhi and Chennai maybe, I don't know,
maybe Bangalore.
Yeah. So you have these cultural hubs where you've got a lot of the smartest people, and they're thinking next generation, like they're thinking, we got to build a business, we got to build a this, we got to build a that. And then you've got all these outlying small towns and things where the mentality is like 2 generations old. And then these guys think, I'm going to move to Delhi and I'm going to make money. Now they're taking their mindset that hasn't evolved with the cultural hubs and the cities that are next generation. And they're coming to these cities and they're encountering these women who think on the next level.
Absolutely. And that is what happens because you have a female diaspora that is evolved, that does not, for them going to a party, coming back at midnight is not that problem because, they're free to do that. But there is a part of the crowd that is not evolved to that extent to understand the lifestyle. And when they're put together, it becomes toxic. So
do you think that men born and bred in Delhi, for example, have the same mindset as the modern woman?
Not necessarily, but it does bring out a lot of difference because a person who's brought up in a top city has received more evolved education, understands these items more. See, it's like you said, it's a combined effect of the morality that these guys are raised with, experience of how their family has treated the females, how strong the female has been while them growing up, because that plays a big important role. How your mother or how your sisters have been positioned in the family, and can they take a stance? Because when you see a female taking stance, you try and understand their individuality also as you're growing up. If you just see them, being run over or being, just treated as second-rate citizens, you don't tend to respect that more. So it's a combined effect of these factors, and that's why I say, it's sad to see that the morality of such a rich culture is degrading day by day. Because if you look at it, it's a simple concept. Let's say a new guy has come to from somebody from my town, somebody from Lucknow, small town, or maybe an even smaller village, comes to Delhi. He sees on an isolated road, maybe 2 a.m. in the night, a drunk girl walking. There are only two broad thought processes that he can have. One is, okay, I need to help this lady. She's at night walking alone, it could be dangerous. We should probably help her get home. The second thought process is isolated road, drunk lady, easy for me to take advantage. Now, the decision making on these two major thoughts is basically your moral
compass, yeah.
conscious and your moral compass that you've developed over the year.
That's a good point, man.
I hope that you enjoyed that snippet out of Couch Conversations. If you did, please like, comment, and subscribe. If you want to watch the full video, I will link it down in the description for you. Thanks for watching. Back in the studio.